Monaco, the crown jewel of F1, the one they all want to win. It's back on the F1 calendar. My name is Aaron, this is the 5 Red Lights. Let's preview the Monaco Grand Prix.
1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it's go, 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 go!
Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. Before we look ahead to the race this weekend, please take a hot second to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy the other content you can find on my channel. Today we're looking ahead to the Monaco Grand Prix and looking at its F1 history. We're celebrating Williams' 750th Grand Prix, and we're having a look at the data from Spain's Sector 3 to see if it can give us an insight into how the Monaco Grand Prix might play out. It's time to leave the grid. Monte Carlo then, tight, twisty, dangerous. The perils of the walls are constantly looming around this track, and it requires supreme skill to drive. Now, famously, Nelson Piquet likened driving the Monte Carlo layout to riding a bike around your front room. I mean, I don't know about your living rooms, but I'm not sure I could get a bike around here. So, Nelson Piquet must have one large living room. The race was first held way back in 1929, becoming part of the inaugural Formula 1 season in 1950. And alongside the Le Mans 24 Hours and the Indianapolis 500, it forms a third of the Triple Crown achievement. Only one driver has completed this achievement, and that is Graham Hill. Graham won 5 Monaco Grand Prix, winning 3 in a row for BRM between 1963 and 1965, taking a pair of wins in 68 and 69 for Lotus, and then earned himself the nickname of Mr. Monaco. He completed the Triple Crown with the Indy 500 in 1966 and the Le Mans 24 Hours in 1972. His record of 5 wins in Monaco stood for many, many years until Ayrton Senna arrived. Senna famously missed out on victory for Toleman in 1984 when the race was stopped due to heavy rain, and in 1988, inexplicably, he crashed out of the lead at the Portier corner. Senna would make amends by winning in 1989 and going on to win again in 1990, 1991, 1992 by holding off Nigel Mansell, and 1993. His final Monaco Grand Prix. Of course, the first Grand Prix following Ayrton's tragic death would be the Monaco Grand Prix. The circuit has famous corners at almost every point too. Saint Devote, the iconic first corner, has been scenes of mistakes for rookies and champions alike, while Massenet and Casino Square are also very challenging corners. Navigate the hairpins, the Grand Hotel hairpin being the slowest corner of the whole year, as drivers pass 180 degrees of lock on the steering wheel before they blast through the tunnel, which actually caused the start of the 1981 race to be delayed as water was leaking through onto the track. Out back into the sunlight and into the Nouvelle chicane, which leads to Tobacco, a medium speed corner which tempts you in and can bring out a mistake. In today's cars, the swimming pool section is utterly mind-blowing before the approach to La Rascasse, the site of an expensive bar. Getting it wrong at Monaco is costly and painful. Jenson Button and Sergio Perez have both missed races after heavy accidents in 2003 and 2011, while Max Verstappen overcooked it in 2018, which allowed his teammate Daniel Ricciardo to take the pole and eventual victory. There have been some absolutely classic races in Monaco, and okay, it's tricky and it can be a little bit processional, but I've just chosen a few that stand out in my mind as absolute classics around the streets of the Principality. I'm going to start with 1982, the race that apparently nobody wanted to win. I think it was 4 different drivers, maybe 5, dropped out of the lead in the final 2 or 3 laps, and of course you had that brilliant line of commentary from James Hunt where he says that we're standing here at the finish line waiting for a winner, no one seems to be coming round. A bonkers race, and I think it was Piquet actually who won that race in the end. 1996 is my next race on this list. Olivier Panis's win in the wet for Ligier. It will forever go down in history. Damon Hill seems set to win after Michael Schumacher crashed out early, but his fate was not to emulate his father's achievement of victory at Monaco. It was for his engine to fail him. Olivier Panis survived the chaos to win the race. For a bit more, check out The Outside Line, where Ash tells the whole story of Panis's charge to victory. The next race on my list is 2004. Michael Schumacher and Ferrari had a perfect record heading into Monaco, but Jarno Trulli in the Renault took the pole position. And after some intervention from Juan Pablo Montoya's Williams behind the safety car, Jarno held off Jenson Button to score his only Formula One victory. And my final choice is 2008, where Lewis Hamilton recovered from an early puncture to change strategy in a wet-dry race and beat his rivals Felipe Massa and Robert Kubica. Force India were actually denied their first points when world champion Kimi Raikkonen ran into the back of Adrian Sutil after a late safety car. Are we going to see a classic race this weekend? We might need a sprinkling of rain and a few mistakes, but the potential is always there for something crazy to happen on the streets of Monaco. Williams head into their 750th Grand Prix. Get involved with this with the hashtag Williams750, and you can actually check out a little link on their social media pages to find out how long you've been a Williams fan. My number is 414, which is pretty good use of many Sunday afternoons, and Williams actually agreed. So Williams heading to Monte Carlo for their 750th race, but the team has not enjoyed the success it once did for many years now. The legacy, though, and the history of the Grove-based squad is without question, and it's extensive. They debuted in 1978 with the FW06, with Williams claiming their first titles in 1980 with Alan Jones, its first Drivers' World Champion. Keke Rosberg took their second Drivers' Championship in 1982 before Nelson Piquet added a third in 1987. The 90s, though, saw Williams dominate, and it was perhaps their best era, with drivers' titles in 1992 for Nigel Mansell, 93 for Alain Prost, while Damon Hill and Jacques Villeneuve won in 96 and 97, respectively. Overall, the team scored 9 Constructors' Crowns between 1980 and 1997, which is a stunning ratio of about 1 in 2. Absolutely incredible. Sir Frank Williams and Sir Patrick Head have led the team through glory and despair, with Sir Frank's paralysing accident in 86 and Senna's death in 1994. But the team are still fighting despite the lack of success over the last several years, with Doralton Capital now in charge and tasked with bringing the Williams name back to the front. How fitting would it be for George or Nicholas to claim a point or two this weekend? Okay, so let's dive into the data from Sector 3 at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, and this is all courtesy of Formula One Trends, so check out Shafi's page at Formula One Trends on Twitter and his website, formula1trends.com. So I'm recording this on the Sunday ahead of the race, so about a week in advance, and yesterday I asked Shafi if he could put together some data for the fastest sector times in Sector 3, which is generally a good indication for Monaco from Spain. So he's produced this lovely graph with the best race sector times for each driver, except Tsunoda, who was obviously slow because he broke down early on with heavy fuel on board, and Mazepin didn't make the cut, shockingly. So they're all the race session best sector times are plotted by the dots. And the bars at the bottom are the best sector times from qualifying. So obviously they're ranked in Spanish Grand Prix qualification order, I think. Or no, because Raikkonen wasn't quite that far down, was he? So they're ranked in their sector times. But they're very close to where they actually qualified. And Verstappen picks up the fastest qualifying sector time for Red Bull, and of course also the fastest race sector time for Sector 3 as well. But obviously some of the race data is slightly distorted by the fact that some drivers pitted late with low fuel and put on fresh soft tyres when the track was rubbered in. But I'll come back to that in a minute. Let's focus on the qualifying times, because that is the crux of Monaco. get qualifying right and get pole position, you can be in the driving seat. It doesn't guarantee you victory because David Coulthard jumped Juan Pablo Montoya in 2002 into the first corner. So if you get a good launch, you can get past. But the thing is, with these cars now, they're so wide. Even if you do manage to get a better start than the guy in pole position, it's very easy for them to then crowd you out. So Verstappen has the fastest sector time by about a quarter of a second. Hamilton almost at 26.5, Verstappen almost at 26.25. So there's a tenth and a half, almost quarter of a second in it. And Bottas is not far off Hamilton's pace. So pole position, you would think, would be debated between those three. The other Red Bull of Sergio Perez is lagging behind the two Ferraris and Esteban Ocon. But Sergio was having a difficult Saturday, so that might play into it a little bit more. And his fastest race sector time is actually quicker than both Mercedes cars. So that is interesting. So I'd expect Sergio to be there or thereabouts in the fight with the top three, making it a top four. So he really must qualify fourth or better this weekend in Monaco. The hometown favourite of Charles Leclerc was fourth fastest through that sector in Spain, which is highlighted in the bottom right corner with the red and yellow lines. Now Charles hasn't had great success around Monaco. In 2019, of course, he famously tried to barrel his way between back markers and ended up causing a puncture and ruining his race. And of course, there was no race there last year. But the Ferrari looked decent around Spain, so that's a generally good indicator of a car's strength with downforce. So I would expect Ferrari to go quite well again. And if you have a look at the general pattern, the teammates tend to be fairly close together. The big disparities are between Verstappen and Perez. Perez having a bit of a difficult day in Spain. The two Alpines, Ocon comfortably outperforming his teammate Fernando Alonso. And Alonso will be strong around the streets of Monaco. And of course, you've got Mick Schumacher comfortably clear of Nikita Mazepin, as is George Russell of Nicholas Latifi. So what does that tell us? That tells us that certain teammates are generally fairly well matched at the moment, and this should be a not quite a Noah's Ark grid, but if you look at the raw data, Red Bull you'd expect to be fastest, followed by Mercedes, then perhaps Ferrari, then Alpine. Could they be ahead of McLaren? And then AlphaTauri could be kind of in there, but Tsunoda is lagging behind. I don't see this being a strong track for Aston Martin. But I do think, and I'll come to this a little bit later on, that potentially Williams could be in the mix with the midfield. All of this then adds up to breaking it down to the drivers. And Monaco is a track where drivers can make a difference. It's a confidence circuit. If someone has an accident in practice 2 or practice 3, it's going to knock their confidence big time. And drivers I think we should be looking out for, of course, are Verstappen and Hamilton. Hamilton doesn't actually have that great a record around Monaco. Nico Rosberg tended to have his number when they were Mercedes teammates. Charles Leclerc, I think, will be one to watch on his home streets. But, of course, Daniel Ricciardo always goes well at Monaco. Denied victory there in 2016 because Red Bull were very slow with the tyres and made amends in 2018. Generally, the Red Bull goes well around Monaco and Ricciardo took advantage of that. So I can see Ricciardo being the difference maker for McLaren. How close can he get to the Ferraris? George Russell, Mr. Saturday, of course. Saturday is probably the more important day at Monaco. If he can get that Williams high enough up the grid, could points be on the cards for George? And of course, like I said, it's a confidence circuit, have an accident, and it's very tricky to recover. I do worry for Mazepin. I mean, I don't sympathise with him very much, but he's clearly struggling in that car and somewhat out of his depth at the moment. And to go to Monaco in your 5th race when you've had a little bit of a torrid start, it's not going to be that good for his confidence. I can see him having a few incidents early on. Who else to watch out for? Of course, Fernando Alonso. He is a street fighter. He loves the Monaco circuit. He will wring that car's neck and get everything out of it. Ocon, though, has had his number in the last 3 races, qualifying ahead of him and beating him in the race. He's actually he's been the first Alpine to the flag at all 4 races we've had so far. Of course, Alonso didn't finish in Bahrain, so Ocon, of course, would have been first to the flag. Is this representative? Not completely, but it just offers an insight into how qualifying might shape up. And of course, if you look at the race data, if you look at some of the cars that pitted for a second set of tyres, their lap times are, of course, are slightly lower because they were able to get fresh rubber and thus go faster. If you look at Esteban Ocon's 28.25 final sector, he was hung out on a one-stop strategy. So, of course, he was managing tyres, as was Sebastian Vettel. So, the general picture of race pace does reflect that of what you would expect from qualifying as well through that sector. Of course, Red Bull have the fastest 2 sector times in the race, but the first and, just counting, I think it's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, first and 7th fastest times in qualifying. Potentially they could be on the front row. We'll wait and see. So that is a look at the data for the final sector at Spain with Formula 1 trends. Thank you to Shafee for putting this together so quickly and allowing me to showcase it in my videos. Go and check out Formula 1 trends on Twitter and their website. I'll leave the links down below for you. And so, having had a look at the data, let's dive into some predictions. Pole position, I'm going to go for Max Verstappen. Now, I'd have gone for Max before I saw that data because the Red Bull just seems to have that extra bit of grip at low speed. The Mercedes seems a lot better at high speed and a lot more balanced. And Verstappen has been quick all season in qualifying. So I'm going for Max Verstappen on pole position, and the qualifying top 3 will be Max, Lewis, and Valtteri, which is, of course, an original top 3. We've never seen that before. Moving to the race, my winner is Max Verstappen because pole position is key in Monte Carlo. If he gets away well, I don't see how Hamilton and Mercedes are going to strategize their way past him, because if Hamilton's starting on the mediums, Verstappen probably is too. And I don't see how Red Bull will allow themselves to be outfoxed again on strategy. They will run as long as possible, because if you pit early, you're probably going to end up in some traffic. And as soon as that gap opens up, I think they're going to have the race pace as well to handle Mercedes in Monaco. A new set of tyres, that good bit of grip, they should be able to hold on. And there's not going to be much variety of strategy. It's probably going to be a one-stop unless there's some rain or there's a safety car. So Max to win, and my podium is Verstappen, Hamilton, and Bottas. Again, original, never seen before. I mean, yeah, completely original. My bold prediction, Williams are going to score a point or points. Like I said in the data section, if George can get that Williams high enough up the grid, say P12, P11, P13, he's going to put himself in an excellent position to take advantage of any attrition within the race. There could be some drama if we have a safety car, or if there's some just general lack of reliability. Of course, only one driver failed to finish in Barcelona, and only one driver failed to finish in Portimao. So reliability is pretty much bang on at the moment for all the teams, which is fine, but it doesn't leave much scope for anyone to work their way through and be rewarded with, just consistency and having a solid car. And that's kind of doubled down on by the fact that overtaking is so difficult in these current cars, and especially around Monaco. Even in the good old days, overtaking was treacherously difficult. So I'm going to tip Williams to score a point, of course, if George can get that car high enough up the grid. It's got that peaky downforce, so as long as there's fairly settled weather conditions, I'd expect the Williams to be fairly high up the order in George's hands. So there you have it. Those are my predictions, and that is my preview of the Monaco Grand Prix this weekend. Let me know in the comments section which corner is the most standout corner for you. It could be your favourite, it could be one where something crazy has happened. Let me know down in the comments which corner is your favourite. That's all for today. Enjoy the Monaco Grand Prix. I'll see you when the lights go out in Monte Carlo. My name's Aaron, and this has been the 5 Red Lights.